Hello, this is Kaylee. I'm here with Sarah, one of our amazing
Hi.
one of our amazing retreat guests. She actually just had a birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Sarah. Um,
Thank you.
so we have a few questions for you to learn a little bit more about your experience on the retreat. So first off, jumping right in, why did you attend this retreat, Sarah?
So I feel like I've been working on my mental health for the last 5 years or so. And I was pretty adamant that I didn't want to be on an SSRI and like what's the most natural way that I can get to like the root cause of the things that like cause me distress. So I found you guys on Trip Guru and then some Google searching, and I've been looking since like 2021 or 2020. And then I eventually just made the move 6 months ago. And then I went back again this last weekend.
That's amazing. Well, we love a repeat retreat guest
Yeah.
and that you chose to celebrate such a special occasion as your 30th birthday with our retreat. So so amazing. And what do you feel like you really gained from this experience? And maybe you want to talk first about the first retreat and the second one, if you want to share a little bit about like what you gained from that first experience and then this recent one.
So they were very different trips, and they told us that each experience would be different. You'd never experience the same trip twice. And I thought they had to have some similarities, but they were very different. So the first trip, I was scared a lot in the middle of the trip because I hadn't had any like psychedelic experience. I had done ketamine therapy before, but I had not done psilocybin. So it was kind of managing how to I guess how to get through that trip and understand what was happening because I was just confused for a little bit. But when I came out of it, as scary as it was, there was also this like weight lifted off of my shoulders, and I just felt so peaceful. But there weren't necessarily like direct answers, I guess, in the way that you would think would happen. Whereas this second trip, I was kind of felt like I could navigate it a little bit better. And so, one of the providers there told me to talk to the medicine, like tell the medicine, like be gentle with like what you're trying to tell me. I'm open to receive the information. Just give it to me gently. And so I did that, and it really helped. It really kind of helped like course my trip a little bit differently than the first one. They were both super positive experiences, but I feel like I understood a lot more the second time than I did the first time.
Okay, that makes total sense. So you kind of just got to go deeper and you were also a little bit
Yes.
comfortable with the medicine. You knew
Yeah.
about that process of surrendering and letting go. So that probably
Yeah.
was a little bit less scary. Although I know, Sarah, if you want to share a little bit, I know you were feeling pretty anxious before this second trip. So, where did those concerns come from? And do you feel like, after you experienced a trip, do you feel like there was something to be worried about? If you want to share a little about that.
Yeah, I was really scared to go back because as scary as the first one was, it still was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced, which is why I knew I wanted to do it again, but I was just scared of the unknown. And I think it's kind of normal to be scared of the unknown. I'm like naturally an anxious person. And I like to be in control and know what's going on and be prepared for like everything that I could possibly be prepared for, but you can't really be prepared for this, but that's like the beauty of it. And I think the first time I resisted so much, it took me a long time to kind of accept like this, you have to like get through this and it's not going to be positive. Whereas the second time I kind of accepted it from the start of like, just go with it and get the information, receive the information that like the medicine's like trying to tell you. So I was very, very nervous. But while I was in this second trip, at some point the shrooms were telling me, don't you feel silly that you were so scared? Because I'm going to give you everything you need to like see, and you're going to be okay. You're going to be safe. So it just kind of talked back to me, which maybe seems strange to somebody who's like never had any kind of plant medicine, but it really told me you don't need to be scared. It's going to be okay. I'm going to give you everything you need right here. And I felt much safer and at peace when I was going through that.
That's so beautiful to hear. Like, I feel like what's so special about the mushrooms is like, it's a living plant medicine, right? So it has a consciousness and it wants you to
Yeah.
heal as much as you want to heal. So, it's just kind of an exchange of information. So I love
Yeah.
that. I love that they were like nurturing to you and
So
help.
nurturing, so nurturing. And it
That's
just kept telling me, like, you're scared, but you've been through worse. And it just kept telling me, you're safe and you're loved, you're safe and you're loved. Remember, you're going to get through this. Like, just be patient, listen to what I have to tell you, and you're going to be just fine. And so it was really just like conversational in this second mushroom trip. Um, and I think because I was more open, and I think that's a big thing is like being open and being accepting of like, you're not going to be able to control everything or know what to expect or like, lead your trip the way you want to lead it. It doesn't work that way. So you have to be open and willing, and then I think you're going to receive it better.
Beautiful. Very, very well said. So, and when you heard the mushrooms, are you hearing a voice? Or are you feeling like as a knowingness? Like, are they,
Both.
yeah.
And I don't know if I was physically talking out loud, but in my trip I was communicating back, like thank you for giving me this gently. Thank you for being so gentle, and it at some point was literally saying, you should feel silly that you were so scared. Like, look it, this is fine. Like you're gonna be just fine.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
it really was.
yeah, and then going into that, so what was the best part of the retreat, right? Because the trip is one main day, but there are other experiences as well.
Yeah.
What was the best part for you?
The people, like both experiences, it was the people, because everybody's there for the same purpose. Nobody's there for judgment. And it's not some like woo woo event where, everybody is just there with no judgment, wanting to be better themselves. Everybody's there with a similar purpose of like bettering their mental health. And it was just very community based. And like all of the retreat leaders, the shaman, everybody was just incredible. Like, and they're just genuine and nurturing. And it's not, you could tell that it's done from the heart. This isn't like just a business or like a way to make money. This is something that like people genuinely care and put their like whole heart and soul into.
Thank you. That's so well said. And for listeners, Sarah and I
Yeah,
actually got to meet on
you
her first
did.
retreat at the center, and it was amazing. Each retreat, I always say,
Yeah.
people are brought together for a reason, and the people there, like they all are, we're all each other's sacred mirrors, right? So we're all reflecting back those beautiful and also difficult parts of ourselves to like love more deeply. So on our retreat, there was I think 11 different people, and it was amazing just to connect. And Sarah and I had some great memories. We were riding horses. It was her first
Yeah.
time forth, really scared. And it was like after the mushroom ceremony, I'm like, if you conquered that, you can do
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say like the retreats, I feel like they put you just enough outside of your comfort zone, even just to make new connections that can be scary
Yeah.
for people. And but I mean, I know speaking for you, you've made some really lifelong friendships, I feel like coming out of the retreat. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll be friends with Kaylee forever. I mean, I think she's amazing and she's so talented and she's just such like a pure, like beautiful person. So I'm so grateful that we did the retreat together and I'd love to do another one eventually. But I also met another participant who lives in Minnesota and we're 20 years apart, but we're fast friends at this retreat. As soon as we came out of our trip, we really bonded and connected and we talked for hours and we just felt this like soul connection with each other. We've since like traveled to Vegas together and we actually just went to this last retreat together. And then we met two other people who we like had this just close soul bond that you feel like I've known these people forever. And it's not natural to like tell everybody your life story and here's all my deepest, darkest secrets. Like that's not a supernatural thing, I think, for most people to do. But when you're in this setting, it's just you become so vulnerable and you don't wake up and have like anxiety that I just told people all of these things. You feel just close and like grateful that I don't know, the medicine kind of led you to be this open and vulnerable with people because that's all part of healing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a huge level of it is go through the experience yourself and then how can I share this with people? How can I also hear their experiences? Like when you Sarah, after your recent trip, when you texted me, the story of I like had tears in my eyes because I could feel it was like healing for parts of me as well. So I
Yeah.
think the more that we can have these conversations and share our experiences, the more that we can all heal. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'll definitely meet some great people on the retreat if you guys can come down. So
Yeah. Everybody was incredible.
and
Everybody.
like going into that, like what kept you from doing the retreat sooner? Because I know for in your case, you were researching this for about 3 years before you finally did a retreat.
Fear, mostly fear. I was just scared, I was scared of like the unknown. I work in Western medicine, so I really had no experience with like Eastern medicine, other than I tried the ketamine treatments. And that kind of opened things up a little bit. And when I did the ketamine treatments, it took me like a few months to kind of start thinking like, okay, I could do more. I could try something else. I just was so adamant that I don't want to. I think that antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicines are great, but I don't think it fixes the root problem. And I didn't want something to just numb my emotions. Like I wanted to figure out like deep in the subconscious, why do I have these like emotional issues? Like how can I fix them? Like how can I nurture them and treat them? And I feel like, but long story short, it was fear. It was fear.
No, that's really beautifully said. And I know that you're someone because you come from this Western medicine background, you love the research, you need the
Yeah.
scientific data. Like you definitely, I remember when you came to our call, to learn more
Yeah.
about great. You've done a lot of research, which is great. So I think some people, it's just an intuitive feeling. I know I need this. You're led, there's all these divine breadcrumbs leading you to this.
Right.
And for yourself, there's some people who've done a lot of research. So I think for all types of people, like ultimately it does come down to fear. And but then you know when you're ready, I think, and you're kind of
Yeah.
like, I don't want to live another day in this certain, with a certain mindset. I want to,
Right.
I want to grow. I think that's the main
Right.
thing, is you want to grow. So
Yeah, I think that's huge. Wanting to grow, wanting to be better, and everybody there wants the same thing. Everybody wants to be better and to grow.
absolutely. And so, yeah, why would you recommend this experience to somebody who's maybe on the fence about it?
I think that I would never go to another retreat. I can find one in the United States. I'm sure I can find one, where it's like decriminalized in Oregon, but there was something so special and genuine. And like I said, the shaman and like the rest of the group, these people, it's true from their heart. I mean, it's palpable when you walk in there. When I saw the shaman, both every time I've seen her, my eyes water, and I told her like I've never had this with anybody, but my eyes just like water when I see her because she has such like a nurturing presence, and you just feel it like from her soul that she wants you. She wants to help you. She wants to be there. Like it's real. And I think everybody that's been there says the same thing, that it's just palpable. It's I don't know, it's a special like spiritual healing place.
Yeah, I
The
like
whole island. I mean all of it.
Yeah, I like to say with our shaman, our team, like she embodies the mushroom. She radiates that frequency. When you're in her presence, you feel that shift in your consciousness already just from being in her energy, because she's in the energy of the mushrooms and the plant medicine so much, that higher consciousness energy, that it kind of, it activates that in yourself. Like you said, the moment she walks into the room.
Yeah, it's
So,
genuine. It's very genuine.
absolutely. Well, I'm so glad you felt that. And then, why did you consider psychedelic therapy originally? I know you touched on, you were, seeking alternative, routes to kind of heal some of the deeper traumas and things you've been through, but any other reasons why you were led to psychedelic therapy?
Well, I know people who have done it, who have had really positive experiences with it. I've watched the Huberman podcast. I read a lot of the research on it, and I think that it could be so helpful for people. It could
Mm.
be really, really helpful for people in getting to that like root cause of like what the issue is. And I can say that I have not experienced any. I still have anxiety. I have post traumatic stress disorder, but I haven't had any depression symptoms since I went there 6 months ago. And like that's huge because I dealt with that my entire life for as long as I can remember, as young as I can remember being. I had always struggled with depression on and off. I've had none. And it's not like life is, totally smooth sailing and there's no problems. There's still all the same problems in life that there was before going, but I think you just think of things differently. You handle your emotions differently, and I don't know. It's just very special. It's really special, and I think if somebody's open to trying it, this is the place to do it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And then, that feeling of, can you talk a little bit about that feeling of, you go through the ceremony, and then what's it like the next day, right? You wake up, you've just had this profound awakening, consciousness experience. How do you feel the day after? Like, are you functional? How do you feel?
Oh yeah, you're definitely functional. You're kind of in like a bliss. You're in like a little bliss bubble for a few weeks, I think, after you take like a higher dose of psilocybin. And you're emotional, but not sad emotional. You're just kind of like you let the emotions out. You really like feel the things that you're feeling, and gratitude. Like I just felt like an insane sense of gratitude, like grateful to be alive and like grateful that I'm here experiencing this, grateful for the people that I'm here with, the other like participants in the retreat, grateful for the shaman and like the whole staff. There's just like a different sense of, you just have a different outlook, like really, really grateful. And you're in this bliss for a few weeks, but the gratitude doesn't go away. Like I said, like I haven't felt any depression or feeling like I just can't take this anymore. No matter what life throws, it's not always going to be easy, but I know that I'll be able to like figure it out in some way or another. Like it will get figured out. And I can't say that I felt that way when I first went 6 months ago. 6 months ago, you just feel hope. I just felt like hopeless. When is this going to end? You just feel bad for yourself in a sense of like, why again? Why again? But now you just look at it. I just look at it differently.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think what's interesting, Sarah, is like when someone meets you, right? You're this bubbly, wonderful,
Yeah.
warm person. No
Thank
one
you.
would know that you are struggling with that, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like, unless you'd shared that
Thank
with
you.
me. I know you're someone who's in the past kept things deep inside when,
Yeah.
it's appropriate to share. So I think it's really big of you to just even do this interview, want to share
Thank
about
you.
this, help people. Like, I just want to I think this is a good part of your growth process. But
Yeah.
I just think that it's really hard to you can't look and see mental illness, right? It's what's
Right.
going on inside of us. We all there was I was listening to a great talk by Marianne Williamson. She was saying like each person has like a war going on inside of them, right? So
Yeah.
like the way that we can help heal this planet and bring more love is to bring that love into ourselves and to kind of bring more peace into our own lives. And it sounds like you really received that through the trip and being
Yeah.
open to this experience and having gratitude and surrender along the way.
And I will say for like post-traumatic stress disorder, it's really hard to treat, like especially if you have like complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I thought I was good. I did a whole trauma treatment program when I was 25 or 26. And I thought I was fine. And then I go back to the environment where everything kind of started and it all reopened. And that was devastating to me. And I think that happens to a lot of people who have post-traumatic stress because there is no like cure. It's not like you're just done. And so you think you're good, and then sometimes it reignites. And this has been so, so helpful for that. So helpful.
Yeah.
And in a way that no treatment, 5 years, I've done 5 or 6 years of like talk therapy. I had more in one like psilocybin treatment than I did in like 5, 6 years of talk, deep trauma talk therapy. And I mean, that's like pretty intense therapy. I still got more in one treatment of psilocybin.
That's amazing. And I think too, like because you get those extended brain benefits where I feel like what one of the main things that psilocybin does, it helps to reset the novelty detector in the brain so everything feels new and special again and
Yeah,
experience your life without that thinking mind going, having all those fears and that story playing out. So I feel like it just helps you to be more present in your life, which it sounds like
it
you're able
does.
to do. So then you're better equipped to meet the challenges of everyday life from that balanced place rather than being stuck in your mind and
Yeah, absolutely.
so, but that's amazing. I'm so glad that you've continued to see the benefits. And I think to anyone out there, like at any stage of life, this therapy can benefit you, whether you're going through a big change or you thought you healed something, it comes back. Like sometimes
Right.
you need support and it's okay to need support and to reach for up for help. And um, so yeah, so speaking of the staff, I know you talked a lot about our shaman, but anything else about the
Yeah.
staff that like stood out to you about like, what you enjoyed about them or like the support or anything like that?
Yeah, so you're totally safe, which that was something I was scared of too. You're very safe when you're going through your experience. You're in there alone. And I wanted to make sure that I was around only females, obviously, because you're not completely with it. So they do such a good job at making sure that like the female participants are with a female sitter and you're in there alone and they're keeping you safe. And those are also such genuine people. Like all of the nursing staff, we talked for hours after. We like went to the beach in the rain and I was just crying happy tears of like how grateful I am for them, how they're grateful for me. It's a very special bond that you develop with these people and you just I don't know there's personal chefs there. They're really really talented as well. They make incredible food, and I'm a big meat eater, and so I was a little bit nervous about like having like mostly vegan diet, but the food was incredible. I was never like hungry or if you did feel hungry they'd get you a snack. Like it was never like you felt food deprived. So from a big meat eater I was very content, and we all actually said that if I had a personal chef I would maybe be vegan at home if I could bring them home with me.
I literally, after I was on the retreat, I Googled, I was like, how much does it cost to have a private chef? I'm like, this is
Yeah,
so,
right.
you just
They're
become
so
so
good.
into it. You're like, you wake up, your breakfast, beautiful breakfast, you go out for
Yeah.
an activity, your beautiful lunch. Yeah, the food is truly art. If you go to our Google Maps and see the reviews, people posted some really pretty food pictures there. And I like
Yeah,
to
the
for
food's amazing.
inspiration.
Everybody there is amazing. There wasn't a single person that I felt uncomfortable with or like irritated or I felt like, negative vibes, like this person's not really in it for the right reason. Everybody there, you can just feel they're there for the right reason and they really want the best for you.
It's so beautiful. Thank you, Sarah. I really love that. Yeah, they
So grateful for all of
truly,
them.
they truly are. And so what ultimately helped you choose our retreat over other options? Since I know you did all your research, like what really what was the final decision maker for you or the
Well,
final
you were a big thing because when we talked, I was so nervous. And that's why I said, I think we need to have more reviews, like more people come there and everybody has these positive experiences. Like, I think more people need to share them. But I understand it's kind of hard to be vulnerable and people don't want to admit that they're going to do this but I think people sharing their experiences and reading like the personal experiences from the people that had been there really helped me. And you were just so like warm and nurturing. And there was one point before I went to my first retreat and I called you and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Like the way that you were able to just calm me down, and I knew that you were going to be there, which made like a huge difference because at this point we had been talking for a couple months before, and you really like calmed me down and assured me that like I'm going to be there too. We'll be doing this together, and um, yeah, you were a big part of it.
That's so sweet. Thank you. I was so excited to
Yeah.
meet you. I was like, and it was just meeting you. You're such a beautiful light in this world,
Oh,
and
thank
just
you.
have such
So are
a
you.
great humor, and yeah, you just have such a great way to enjoy life. So, but that's why I'm trying to say to people is even someone like you or, me or anyone, like we can have all these beautiful parts of us, but still be struggling in different ways. And we all deserve this kind of environment for healing. And
Yeah,
it sounds like I think it almost gives you confidence to know too, if and when, if anything comes up in my life that I need to process, there's a safe place I know I can go. Of course,
absolutely. Yeah.
within your own heart first, and the people that love you, but also if you need some more support, like the center is always there, which is, I think, really comforting.
And it was also comforting when I went back this second time that everybody still remembered me and the girl who I went with the last time, when we went together. They remembered all of us, and like that just feels so personal because I think the shaman has done, what was it, 10,000 ceremonies? I mean, that's a lot of ceremonies. So for you to remember us from 6 months ago, that's so special. I mean, it just kind of goes to show how true, like this is real for her. This is very genuine, and she cares about the people that come there. We're not just some participants coming in and then you leave out the door. Like they really, really genuinely care about us.
It's pretty
And
amazing.
it's
I can ask our shaman. I'd be like, oh, because people sometimes will ask, oh, what was the exact dose I had of the mushrooms? And it is unique to each person, as you know, like it
right.
depends on body size and all the other health factors. But she'll remember the dose, she'll remember like their
Yeah,
story, she'll remember their experience just by their
she
name.
does.
And it's very amazing because we do have a lot of guests come through. And of course, these are small personalized retreats, but a lot of people come throughout the course of a year or two or three or four. So she does a great job at remembering everyone's story, and she literally she falls in love with each person that comes through. It's really cool.
Yeah.
She's literally like,
It,
I love them.
it's funny because she was like, you did so much better this trip than you did the last trip. You really accepted it a lot better. And it's so funny that she could even remember that you remember my like actual trip experience and how I was freaking out the first time. And the second time, how she just was able to recognize that you seemed much more at peace. You accepted it. You did a lot better this time. Yeah, she's very into it. She's real. She's genuine, and that's everything.
Yeah, and I think having a female shaman and a majority female staff, besides a few
Yeah.
staff members who are lovely men, they're just the best.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, but it does have a very gentle, feminine kind of energy to the whole thing,
So nurturing.
which
So
is,
nurturing.
and we all need more of that mother energy. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
And then, so yeah, looking back at the whole experience, was the price worth it for like the first retreat, the second retreat? Do you feel like it was worth what you paid?
Yes, you're in a beautiful place. You're safe. You have, healthy food made for you. Everything. It was worth it. It's worth it. And it's hard because, inflation is hard right now. It's hard, but
It
I
is.
can say that I have spent this versus I spent 5 years in talk therapy and trauma therapy, and that is not cheap. Like that costs a lot of money. And so me doing this, it saved money. It saves money. It's hard to look at it that way, so I can understand, but it did save me money by
Yeah.
doing this.
And also saves you. Yeah, I think like the mental struggle of that time
Mhm.
to figure it out, feel like you're
Yeah.
spinning the wheels, and you made some really beautiful friendships. So,
Yeah, that I will have for a lifetime.
yeah, and you literally like I feel like you keep traveling with people from the retreat and making
Yeah.
connections. The coolest part. And then looking back, like just kind of to the beginning of it all, like how was it for the first retreat traveling to Mexico by yourself as like a younger woman? Like that's a big question we get from people is
Yeah.
here to go to Mexico by myself.
Yeah, I've traveled a lot by myself. I actually have traveled more alone than I have traveled with people. But I was nervous to go to Mexico alone. I was nervous to go do psilocybin alone and be in Mexico and not know anybody. And am I going to be safe? Will I be okay? Will I make it home? But as soon as I got there, I felt safe. You just feel the energy that, okay, you're okay here. Everybody was welcoming. And as soon as you come in, they have a welcome, like cucumber drink, and everybody's telling you, unpack your things, let's sit down, we're going to talk, get to know each other. And you feel very comfortable, like very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember walking in, I was handed this beautiful fruit drink. I
Yeah.
get to the balcony, there's like a gorgeous lunch, and they're like, we're ready for your massage after lunch.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Yeah. It's super, super peaceful. It's
And I
beautiful.
think, yeah, I think from the first day where you just get to have the massage, the lunch, the opening ceremony where everybody
Yeah,
shares what they're there for, and then the hypnotherapy. Like it is a really full first day. People think of it as like a travel day, but it really sets
right.
the tone, I think, for the next few days. And after the travel, I think like you said, you arrive and you feel like I'm here, I'm safe,
Yeah.
loved, I'm important, all those things.
And something that I'll add is that I have done psilocybin at home. So I have done it at home and tried to kind of replicate the um, peaceful experience of like tripping at home. It is not the same. So like a lot of my friends were like, "Can't you just take mushrooms at home?" You could, yeah. And I'm sure that a lot of people do have benefit. There's definitely benefit to have like a closed eye, trip by yourself. But there is something that this whole weekend does to really get you through to that healing of like the goal of what you came there for, your intentions. You set your intentions, you're in this peaceful mindset, you're not on your phone, you're not looking at like social media. So you have days of that, and that really like helps set you to get through to your goal.
Yeah, I agree. And I
The
think
whole environment, like set and setting is everything. And you can be in your home and obviously be the most comfortable in your home, but having that mindset like put in place even before you go to your trip, having the massage, having talking about things that are not usually comfortable, talking about your emotions and like your intentions before the trip, and just in such a peaceful environment where you're not distracted by the phone or the TV or XYZ, somebody calling you from work, that really helps set things up.
absolutely. And to
The
know
whole
that
ceremony process.
yeah, the next day there's not the pressure of, having to take care of your anything, like the food
Right.
for you, the activities, like you're just taken care of from start to finish. So I
Yeah.
think it's a great way to say it. And being around people too who are in such a loving vibration, like the staff, it really helps to bring you up to that place of like, oh, like this is where I can exist
Right.
for all the time and have this, live in my heart and be this kind of, best version of myself. So I think, like you said, that yeah, the set and setting really is so important. And people always say, yeah, let's do like, oh, can't I just go do this in the woods? Like, of course you can go do this
Yeah.
where you want. It's really what
Yeah. And you'll still have a great time and a great experience, and you'll get something out of it. But there's something different doing it in that group setting. And the best way that I can describe it is, I was saying that it's like when you study abroad and you come home and you want to tell everybody about studying abroad. Nobody really cares. Like nobody really wants to hear it. But these people that are there with you, they want to hear it and talk about it and reminisce and that. So it's kind of like that with this group. You go into this experience and people can't really understand it unless you've been in this experience. So it's like when you leave, you feel so bonded because you all went through something so profound together that you guys just want to keep talking about it, because nobody else could really understand like to the full extent of like how special and sacred the whole thing is.
that's such a great analogy, the way to describe it. And like it's almost like telling someone your dream where like they can't quite understand
Right.
your dream or why it felt so important, but like it's revelatory to you because
Right. Yeah.
it. And I think for certain people who have read a lot about, spiritual awakening or healing or all these things, or meditate or, have these spiritual practices, to have an actual lived experience of this kind of spiritual breakthrough is a whole different thing, to actually
It
have
is.
that. And it is hard to describe unless you have experienced it. And that moment of kind of, ego death or full surrender and just trust that like you're gonna be a better being on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely will.
Yeah. So, in kind of like final questions, like, what are like the big takeaways that from this retreat? I know we've talked
Yeah.
throughout the interview, but anything else big that you're taking away from this retreat?
I think if you're scared, it's normal to be scared. Like you're doing something that's unknown and like not comfortable, and you really don't know what the trip is going to entail. Like there's no way of knowing what the trip is going to entail, but I think it's good to face the unknown. And I think the the fear, like it's better for me to experience that fear than the pain. I feel like I had gone through so many years of so much pain and just like emotional turmoil that it was so worth it to feel scared for the leading up to the trip. That was worth it, because when I come out of it and have that like peace inside, there's nothing, you can't compare anything to that. Especially when you've lived in fight or flight for so long, and when you get that release of like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Things are still not perfect, but it's going to be okay. And you come out of that, the fear is worth it when you can have that feeling, that peace.
I completely agree. That's like, sometimes the trips they can be so beautiful and there's moments that can be hard, but
Yeah.
when you get to the other side, you just look up at reality, you feel like you're looking at everything through more of the eyes of love, and it
Yeah.
feels so much better. And yeah, it's definitely just a change of heart, change of consciousness. So
Yeah.
And then if looking back, like what could you say to Sarah 3 years ago?
Oh,
Well,
just do it. Just do it. Like it's so worth it. Just do it and like stop being scared. Like it's so easy to be scared, but it's so worth it. Like this last trip, I was only supposed to go for 1 day. So me and the girl from Minnesota who went together, we were only going to go 1 day. And then we told Kaylee, maybe we'll stay there for 2 days. We ended up staying there for 3 days. So 3 days, yeah, 3 nights, four
yeah,
days.
you basically you did a 4-day retreat 2 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it wasn't meant to be that way, but it was like once I got there, I'm like, God, this is so great. I need to sit in this. Like I need to sit in this piece. I have to go to the yoga. I want to do the meditation. I want to do the sound baths, all of that. I want to be completely like immersed in this.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go there for the trip and leave, which I you can still get a lot out of it if you go there for the trip and leave. But I was just so, I don't know, I just didn't want to leave that little peace
It's
bubble.
it's like a healing container, and I think that it
Yeah.
is important to commit to, if you can, of course, if people can only do a 1 day, they're super
Right.
busy, kids work, but if they can, budget allows, I would at least recommend a 4-day just so that you have more
Yeah.
time. And then if people really have the budget, the 7-day is amazing because you get to do the two
Yeah.
macro doses. And then, yeah, I guess one last question to you before we wrap up too is you did the MDMA ceremony this time. So
Yeah.
what was that experience like?
Well, I have never done MDMA before, but that was incredible. I was very nervous for that as well. I was less nervous the morning of, after I finished the psilocybin, you feel like, okay, if you can handle this unknown, you can handle the next unknown. Um, it's very different. It's nothing, the trip is nothing compared to the psilocybin, but it's very therapeutic and you look at your emotions differently. So I had a dog who passed away a year ago, and he was my whole life. So I hardly talk about him because it's so hard for me not to cry. But when I was talking about him during the MDMA, because it makes you want to talk, so it's really great for therapeutic purposes. Because if you have a therapist, you're gonna spill it all out. There's gonna be no fear or like fear of judgment or embarrassment. You just let everything out, but you not only let everything out, but then it forces you to think of it differently. So when I was talking about my dog, I was focused on how much happiness he brought to my life and how grateful I was that I had him. And I wasn't focused on the sadness of his death, which usually when I would talk about him, I would just cry because I just think of, I miss him. I wish he was still here, but I was just grateful that I had him. And I don't know, it changes your perspective.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful
Yeah.
that you're able to share that with the people on the retreat. And,
Yeah.
like, when it's something you normally keep kind of close to your chest. And um,
Yeah.
yeah, and just to break down those
Not
barriers.
just that it makes you talk and think of things differently, look at like another angle of it, and like the post-traumatic stress, I needed that to be strong. So I needed that to happen to be strong. So you just look at things totally different.
Yeah. So it's kind of like finding gratitude for for the really
Mhm.
difficult, dark times of your life because it made you who you are now. And when you
Yeah.
accept it, then you can kind of elevate it from trauma to a lesson or to
Yeah.
an important experience you had to have.
Yeah, for sure. And
Mm.
it's fun. You laugh a lot. So, and you don't cry. And I was kind of nervous. Am I going to be like crying the whole time? Because everybody says, it's very emotional, but it's positive. It's positive emotion. It's a great, it's a great tool for healing and therapy, I think.
Beautiful. Well, I'm so glad you got to experience it this time, and we're
Me
so
too.
welcome you back to future retreats. I know that you're
Yes.
planning on, you said you want to come every year, right?
I will 100% come every year. I will definitely, it's such a great reset. I will definitely do this every year. And actually, the group that I was with this past weekend, we're going to be getting together the second week of November. So we're already like planning on like seeing each other again. And we all want to do this once a year together because it was just so special.
So beautiful. Well, I feel like lifelong friendships and people
Yeah.
are on this healing path. It's nice to meet other people who are trying to grow and who also have
Yeah.
tried other therapies and that they didn't work for them either. So
Yeah.
I think there's like real bonding in that.
There really is. Yeah.
And being willing to look at yourself, see the truth within yourself, rather than like, I don't know, numb out or hide from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really easy to numb out. You just get busy with work or you just stay busy with friends or find activities or travel or whatever. But I think when you really sit in it, it's good for you. It's hard to do it, but this forces you to kind of sit with those like emotions that you've repressed for so long.
Beautiful. And my last question for you, like, so you
Mhm.
just turned 30, you have a whole nother beautiful year of life ahead. Like, what does this Sarah 2 or 3.0 look like? Like, what are you excited about this year that you've kind of now feel confident to do, or, things that you're excited for in your life?
Well, I'm excited to keep healing. Like it's really important for me to people don't talk about where I grew up, people don't really talk about their feelings and emotions. And I think I'm just happy and I'm ready to like spread that. I want other people to feel this way, especially when you have felt sad for so long. You kind of can't really imagine not being in like a negative headspace. Like I really want to find a way to help people get there because it's possible and you can do it without just like numbing your feelings. So yeah, just continued healing and growth and hopefully helping other people to get there for
Beautiful.
themselves.
Well, you're already doing it through being able to do this conversation, and Sarah's already brought so many people to the retreat. She's constantly referring people.
I'm always telling people about the
Really,
retreat. I'm
yeah,
like, you should go, you should go.
she wants her fiance to come. She's got big plans for the world
Yeah.
down.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank
You
you,
are such a
Kaylee.
beautiful, beautiful person and light, and I just really am so
Thank you.
really commend you for your bravery to kind of, commit to this experience, overcome your fear, and also just become more of this empowered version of yourself and continue to help other people with their own healing as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Amazing. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye.